Data is in, and Opendoor is even in more trouble than they were at the end of last year when they claimed nearly $1 billion in losses. So we're going to go over today $1.4 billion in losses from Opendoor. And really, the question that I'm asking myself is, when will Opendoor be going bankrupt? Because what we're noticing right now, you guys, is the homes that they're selling is at a loss of what they purchased it. So their inventory, right, is depreciating. They're losing money at, essentially record paces. Their stock has absolutely been crushed. They have been sued by the government and lost. Opendoor right now, you guys, is absolutely getting murdered. If you don't know, Opendoor is a flip investment company. So along with Opendoor, really any investors that have recently purchased real estate to flip are also underwater and potentially in danger of filing bankruptcy. Probably chapter 11 if you're a corporation, or chapter 13 if you're a consumer, because those bankruptcies will protect your assets as long as you can make a repayment program. But again, we're going to go into everything Opendoor, because I'm saying that as a result of Opendoor suffering, they're going to have to fire sell and shed the prices on their inventory just to sell it, especially now that interest rates are higher. But regardless, you guys understand I'm not a financial advisor, even though my bio is as someone that wants to help you guys, that wants to point out what's really going on in the housing market, and for uncovering the truth, at least trying to uncover the truth. You guys, please like this video, subscribe if you haven't, share this video, shoot me a comment below. But regardless, let's get started on this video now. So this article is from Real Trends right here. This is going to be linked in my description. The name of this article is Opendoor Loses $1.4 billion in 2022. Okay, so obviously, you guys, they're losing a substantial amount of money. It's really actually quite shocking, the amount of money that they're losing. But let's read a little bit about what's going on. Like most firms in the prop tech space, Opendoor was hit by the swift market shift and subsequent slowdown during the second half of 2022 due to rapidly rising interest rates. And that's true. Obviously, the rapidly rising interest rates did rug pull multiple people. Despite a 94% year-over-year increase in revenue to $15.6 billion and selling almost 40,000 homes, or 80% more homes in 2022, the iBuyer still managed to record a net loss of $1.4 billion in total for the year. All right, so this is total $1.4 million for the year, compared to a net loss of $664 million from a year ago. So even when the housing market was doing great, they were still losing money somehow. Really hard to imagine that. All right, let's read the second part here. Navigating a major housing cycle has not been easy, and it's just started. Carrie Wheeler, the CEO of Opendoor, told investors listening to the firm's fourth quarter earnings call Thursday evening. As for right now, we are highly focused on stabilizing our core business and ultimately returning to positive free cash flow. Okay, which they're not experiencing right now because we are in a downturn in our housing market. And honestly, you guys, this is probably just going to get much worse for Opendoor. And again, if we're waiting on the sidelines, this will probably just help us. While the firm continues to face market headwinds in 2023, executives are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. As of December 31st, 2022, Opendoor had sold approximately 66% of the inventory. So they still have, what, 34% of their inventory left? But that's actually pretty impressive. So they're ditching their inventory, but they still have a whole bunch. Pretty impressive. Now, starting here, the firm said it expects to have sold 85% of their inventory by the end of the first quarter of 2023. So my question is once they, sell their inventory, then what? Do they just shut down their doors? They just go out of business? But it's crazy to me that they expect to have almost no inventory, right, by Q1 of 2023. So we'll keep an eye on Opendoor. We're really amazing to actually think about that. Looking ahead, the firm is optimistic about the opportunities it has cultivated, including its partnership with Zillow and its Opendoor exclusive platforms. But the thing is Zillow's actually in hot water as well. So, it's nice that they're being optimistic, But I would argue, you guys, the reason why they're in this mess is because they were overly optimistic, right? And also rug pulled. So I get they were rug pulled. So it is no question at all. It is no question that Opendoor still has a considerable amount of inventory and that they are suffering massive, massive losses every single day that goes by. So it's only a matter of time before their business crumbles completely. And it's already crumbling apart right now. But to have those types of losses and continued property price decline is outrageous. And let's think about what happened. Opendoor purchased a significant amount of real estate at the peak. So let that be a lesson, right? Let that be a lesson to even, you guys that are listening to me. You don't want to buy real estate at the peak in this type of market cycle, right? Crashing prices, things of that nature. You want to purchase well outside of the peak from someone that's in distress, just like Opendoor, right? But let me show you guys another article right now. This is an insider article, as you guys can see here. The name of this article is The Problem with Home Flipping Giants. They purchased at the peak and they can no longer sell their house. I can pretty much sum that up right now. But let's look at some of these bullet points, all right? Big home buying companies like Opendoor lightly renovate and resell properties for profit, right? Except right now, they're not selling it for profit. They are selling it for losses. These companies are similar to scalpers who buy, then resell tickets for much more than they paid. Only the problem is they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar and now they can't sell their tickets. But essentially, this article is pointing out the reality of Opendoor. They're ticket scalpers. They scalp tickets, right? Isn't that a fair comparison? Do y'all agree with that? It is to me. Some of these firms, also called iBuyers, have shuttered others and struggling in a down market. So a lot of these firms with iBuyer programs, you guys, are shutting down their iBuyer programs because they understand to flip real estate right now would be a huge mistake. Now, if you can find a deal of your dreams with a punch of ledge, which is almost impossible right now, all right, but if you can, props to you. But we're talking about big companies that must buy real estate and must flip it, right? I don't need personally to buy anything. I have time to find the deal of my dreams, and I hope you guys have time to do that also. And just to remind you guys, what these companies were saying to people. And again, remember, Opendoor got, penalized millions of dollars from the FTC for deceiving homeowners. Think about it. So many people forget, or so many people don't care, but let's just read this paragraph right here, okay? These firms, as well as now defunct arms of Zillow and Redfin. So remember, Zillow and Redfin started playing as well and got burned, especially Zillow. And the crazy thing about Zillow is they didn't even have to get burned. Like, Zillow burned everyone and themselves. Zillow is just wow. But also Redfin dubbed themselves instant buyers or iBuyers because they claimed homeowners could sell their properties with them quickly, easily, without the stress of hiring real estate agents to list their prices on the open market. So Opendoor, OfferPad, Zillow, Redfin were saying, hey, let us buy your house. You don't have to worry about the agents. You don't have to stress out. We'll buy it right away. We'll give you a fair value. But the reality is they were not giving people a fair value. So I'm kind of, I don't have any sympathy or really empathy for them because they really messed up a lot of locals. And they are added to houses, skyrocketing up in value. The investor demand and the investor shares from 2020 to 2022 was completely out of control. And you guys, again, one of the catalysts to this continued housing price crash is going to come from the rich, from investors, short-term rental market, long-term rental market, and especially flip investors. I believe that's going to be the first wave of distressed selling or forced selling. It's not going to start with resale. It's going to start with investment. At least that's what I believe. Let me hop into another article now. This is a really cool article right here. It will be linked in my description, but it's going to kind of tell us, what's going on with the purchasing, with Opendoor. And let me kind of zoom in here so you guys can see this. So basically, this is the amount of homes that Opendoor purchased and the quarter. So you guys can see since, Q4, this is Q4 of 2020, it just really skyrocketed out of control. And, up until about Q3, up until right here, they were buying like maniacs. Then it went down in Q4 of 2021, also went down here. And they skyrocketed back up in Q2 of 2022. So let's look at this. So one of their biggest purchasing years right here, Q2 of 2022. So let me remind you guys what was happening in Q2 of 2022. Do y'all remember what happened in Q2 of 2022? Peak prices. Those were the peak prices. So the most purchasing that they did since Q3 of 2021 was at the very peak. You guys, most of the homes they recently bought was at the very peak. That's crazy to me. And look at how it's kind of just went straight down since then. So obviously we know Opendoor is slowing the acquisitions and changing their strategy significantly. Now I believe their strategy is not going bankrupt. I believe that's the only strategy they have right now. They're going to hope for the Federal Reserve to pivot and U-turn so that they can stay in business. So here's the monthly you guys can see here. So Opendoor monthly purchases. And again, since the peak, and here's May, here's, it looks like June is, or July is right there. So this is like May and June right here. So, the peak, they're purchasing at the peak. It's messed up for them. Obviously, again, look at, the monthly sales just straight down. This is probably going to keep them in business a little bit longer. This is going to help us, I think, in the long term as people in the sidelines. But their company is completely destroyed. And look at the listings, Opendoor weekly new listings. Look at it, just plummeted since, again, the peak. Look at it. So this is around the peak of 2022, straight down. Talk about a rug pull. We're seeing the rug pull play out with Opendoor like crazy. In conclusion, it's likely that Opendoor is going to continue to remain unprofitable as we go through this housing market downturn. So the question is will Opendoor be able to last long enough to stay in business? I don't think so, guys, because if they couldn't make money when we were, booming and everyone was doing good, if they couldn't make money then, why would I think that they can make money now and survive through this downturn? And I think that's a problem with a lot of these iBuyers is they weren't in business during the last downturn. And the last downturn, for some reason, it caught all of the professionals by surprise. The economists, the realtors, investors, it caught them by surprise. It was like they were the last people to find out about the crash. Same thing happened right now. Opendoor is going to be the last to find out we're in a housing market crash. And again, I think that's because it's got to be because they're not listening to the Fed, or they have this hope that the Fed is going to U-turn and pivot, but we don't have inflation under control. If the Federal Reserve pivots right now, we're in a stagflation situation that could lead to a depression, especially because wages will not match that type of inflation. But either way, you guys, this is yet another black swan event. It's yet another thing to pay attention to as we move forward into 2023. Now, again, you guys already know, I believe in 2023 that Opendoor is going to go bankrupt. Let me know what you believe below. Comment below. Do you think they're going to go bankrupt this year? Maybe, maybe not, but let me know what you think. And other than that, guys, if you're out there investing in real estate, I wish you luck and I hope you win.